What's up, guys? And in today's video, we have a special guest, like always, Mr. Gabriel Azar. If you guys know him, you probably know what he does. But if you don't know him, I'm going to give him a second to introduce himself and ultimately, spit some sauce and share some game about, what he's building and what he's built so far. So, Mr. Gabriel, please take it to the floor, my brother.
Appreciate it. I appreciate you for even having me. Yeah, my name is Gabriel. I am a high ticket closer, transitioning out now, but I've been a high ticket closer for the past 2 years. And yeah, the game has been wonderful to me, right? Like I've been in a small town called Cavan, Ireland. Did not know anything about business to 2 years later, being able to collect 3 million closed deals, all because I took a risk, right? So yeah, like I'm super excited to ultimately see where the conversation is going to lead us. But yeah, ultimately walk you through who I am and what my story is in particular.
Interesting. And how did you get started into high ticket sales? Like, what did the roadmap for you getting into the position that you're in now? How did it look
Um,
like?
yeah, it started just to give you guys some full context. I started in architecture, right? So went to secondary school, went to college, and I did architecture, and I absolutely hated it. I just knew straight away from the jump it was not what I wanted to do in my career, but I did it anyway just to make my parents happy. And I remember one night specifically telling myself, like, why am I here? If I'm not doing this for myself and I'm doing it for other people, why am I here? Right? I need to do what ultimately resonates with me. So I got into high ticket sales because I saw a friend actually, he showed me his account on how much money he was making in high ticket sales, and I was like, this is what I need to be doing. Football didn't work unfortunately for me, so I need to try something else to make more money, be in a better career. And I was like, this is it. I know somebody literally in my circle who's been able to have success. Why not be able to learn from him, take the information so that I can have success and build myself and who Gabriel Azar is.
100%. I mean, that point in time, like when you had to pivot from doing what other people wanted and expected you to do, and then just transitioning that over to, doing football and then getting into high ticket sales, like what did that moment feel like?
It's scary, man. It's scary. If 99% of people are doing a particular thing and then there's a one guy going a different direction and you have no idea what the destination is going to look like, it's scary, right? But for me, it's like I'm always going to be that guy that's going to going to go the different direction, right? Because it makes me unique. I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to learn more. I want to start thinking differently. I want to learn who Gabriel Lazar is. I'm not going to do that by following exactly what everybody else has been doing. So if I want to be in a career where I'm fulfilled, if I want to be a successful business owner, I need to do what 99% of people do, so I can get what the 1% have, the success, the achievements. I need to start thinking in a different way. So that was my thinking behind it, but definitely scary.
100%. And like getting into high ticket sales, like how did you then, you saw your friend, making all this money, and then how did you ultimately land a role for yourself and actually, start closing deals?
My sales journey is very different, right? Like the traditional path is setting, closing, or maybe cold calling, setting, closing. Then you go to management or business. For me, I went straight to closing. Like I was like, I don't want to be a setter. I want to make 10, 20K a month. That's all I want to do. And I was so dead set on that, right? To the point where nobody would give me an opportunity because I didn't have enough experience to actually close on a good offer. And ultimately with setting, I would also just deny every chance to set. Because all I wanted to do was make 10, 20, 30K a month. That's all I wanted to do. So I was like, okay. I was like, this is it. I'm just gonna find a way to make it work. So for 6 months, I made a total of $0 in high ticket sales. It's because nobody would give me an opportunity. Nobody. So then the 6th month in particular, I remember getting an opportunity and I begged. I was like, give me a chance. I'm going to train. I'm going to dedicate 110% into it. All I'm looking for is an opportunity to prove myself. Once I got the opportunity, because of the amount of effort, the amount of grit, the amount of things it required to actually get to that point, I was able to smash it. I did 1 million cash collected within 7 months, and it's just
Mhm.
because I wanted it so bad. So like my advice for anybody out there is you want it so bad, right? It has to be the thing that's on your mind 24/7. You know what I mean? That's what it was for me. Like I couldn't think about anything else. I'd literally be in my room locked up. How can I make this work? How am I gonna make it work? That's all I was doing in particular. So for sure.
Interesting. And like, has that determination always been something that has been within you, or is it something that developed during that point in time, like after you realize that, hey, like this person is doing so much, or it feels like they're doing so much, but then for you, you're like, did you always have that determination like within yourself?
I've intrinsically had it, but I feel like as I've grown older, it's become bigger and bigger and bigger. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
When I was younger, I was kind of more to myself. Like, yeah, I'd be friendly, and that was there. But now it's like, uh, it's just in front of me. I know I need to do it. You know what I mean? So I think as I got older, it naturally became bigger and bigger and bigger, and I realized it's something I need to do now. So I think the older I got, the more urgency I got to ultimately make a change.
Interesting. And like with you, like when you were like first starting out, did you ever imagine that like from you being like somewhat reserved to now being like having to hop on sales calls and close people and speak to a bunch of different people? Like how was that transition in particular? Like, you know,
It was when I was like actually back then, it was difficult to imagine like how I'd hop on a sales call, get somebody to pay me money. I was like, how do I even do that? Like, how does that even make sense? Um, but as I got more reps in, I became more familiar with it. Like
mhm,
one thing I always say in my sales calls, and something you guys can even take away from it is you don't grow from comfortability, you grow from uncomfortability,
mhm,
right? So if it feels uncomfortable, that's where you're actually growing. If it's comfortable, you're not growing because you're okay.
mhm.
So you should be attempting to do things that are uncomfortable because that means you're going to get different results in your career and also in your business. So for me, it definitely was a good perspective and a good way for me to change the way I was thinking.
Okay. And what are the things that you do? Like, are you still doing things that make you uncomfortable for like on purpose that ultimately allow you to grow, or has that changed over time, like your outlook on that?
2 years ago, I was very, very hungry, right? But then I got the success, and I'll be honest, I did get complacent.
Mhm,
A good 6, 8 months, I got complacent, right? It's only 2 days ago I decided I'm ready to get uncomfortable again.
mhm,
Because entrepreneurship, it's a dangerous game. If you're comfortable, that's a dangerous place to be in, right? Because
mhm,
just like that, it can switch, right? Things can move around, and you're in a tough position. So you must be constantly trying to do uncomfortable things, constantly trying different things, putting more out there. Because the more you put out there, the more you're going to have success. So yeah, definitely was. uh, It definitely was in particular.
Interesting. And now, like, what are you like? What would you say like are the things that you've been able to learn specifically from your journey in sales and getting to sales that like still are apparent to you today?
That sales is everything. Use sales
Mhm,
in every aspect of your life. Right? Communication is the number one thing to master in your life. Once you're able to master that, there's other things, marketing, leadership, hiring. And I've got to the stage where I've mastered it. Now I'm ready to do the other things. But sales has impacted so many other areas in my life, from like relationships and confidence in myself.
mhm,
Um, you can't sell if you don't have confidence in yourself. So you're forced to develop that. So I was forced to develop that, even though I was a timid, shy guy at first, to be more confident, to put myself out there. Um, because that way I can sell with authority. You can't sell with authority if you're too in your bubble. You need to be able to
mhm,
challenge people on their way of thinking. You need to be able to get them and show them a different perspective of how to see a particular thing or the way they're thinking. Um, so yeah, sales has changed so many aspects of my life. Um, Business, relationships, um, communication. It truly, truly has changed my life.
Interesting. And I love like the way that you touch on like relationships with people as well. I mean, like when you were starting out, like do you have many people that like supported you along your journey, or was it just something that you had to figure out on your own?
Yeah. No, I was not supported in my journey. No, 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 no. I was not.
Mhm,
Everything from like my mom calling me out, my dad calling me out, uncles calling me out, aunties calling me out. Everybody. I was getting it from all directions. And then it also didn't help that I wasn't making any money for 6 months, right?
mhm,
So I can definitely get it from their perspective. They can only like a parent's main job is to make sure that their children are good, right? They're comfortable. That's it. They
mhm,
don't want their children taking risks. It's too dangerous for them. So like nothing on them, right? If I had a kid, I'm pretty sure I'd be the same thing. But for me, I knew who I was. So definitely at the start, there was no support. But I realized that support came whenever I'm actually able to show them the things I've been able to do. Because now I can show them and everybody can see the success, right? And it's easier now opposed to back then where there's nothing to show for it, but I'm going to do this.
mhm,
And the beautiful thing is now your parents, people, they can never doubt you because you've shown them that you've got to a stage where you went from a little small place in Ireland, little town, to being able to build something sustainable and tangible for yourself. So they can never doubt you. So things that happens once, but once you're able to prove to them that you essentially say you do what you say you're gonna do, they're not gonna doubt you. They'll believe you, you know?
mhm.
So yeah, like expect to be doubted, but then realize it gets better once you put all 110% into it in particular as well.
100%. I agree with that. And like for you, like I know for me it's like somewhat of the same thing in terms of like just having that self-confidence from within that it's always gonna work out. But I'm just curious, like for you, how did you always or how were you able to keep that self-confidence through that time when you weren't making anything? I think, a lot of people tend to give up during that time and just say, like, hey, like maybe they were right and let me stop and, like do whatever they want me to do. But how were you able to then, somewhat have that, if you call it or what is the word? Undeniable delusion to succeed. Yeah, I think that's what you call it. But how were you able to, stay true to yourself and be confident in the way that things would work out?
Exactly what you said, because I realized that 99% of people will give up, right? Me
Mhm,
personally, I believe no matter what you do, if you put 110% into it, you cannot fail. It cannot fail.
mhm,
So that success might happen in 1 month and it might happen in 12 months, 36 months. But if you continue to push hard on it, you will get the result. There's no doubt in my mind. So I was like constantly thinking like that, that no matter what happens, as long as I continue to push, things will fall into place. It's God's plan. It's already done.
of course,
And I saw
of
one
course.
graph. I saw one graph from Alex Hormozy, and it talked
Mhm,
about there's like 5 steps in regards to anything, anybody pursuing anything, whether it's a relationship, business, anything. The first step is where they're familiar with it, they're aware of it, right? The second step is when they take action, they actually commit to the thing. The third step is where they go through a little bit of a challenge, and this is where 99% of people give up. Then the next
mhm,
step is actually seeing progress, right? This is where the 1% are, and they're actually seeing, oh wow, this is working. Let me put my all into it, and then it's success. Where you're able to get all the results, you're able to get the achievements. So for me, in all aspects of my life, that's the graph I have in my mind, where 99% of people they're gonna quit at a particular time, and I'm gonna beat them because I'm gonna stay there. I'm gonna continue to keep progressing, keep working hard, and making it happen.
sure. And how important is like self-educating like through that? Did someone like teach you sales, or was it just something that you had to learn on your own?
Yeah, I invested a lot into myself.
Mhm,
I've invested over 5 figures from coaching, networking groups, coaching groups, networking groups, business groups, health and fitness groups. I've
mhm,
literally done it all, even relationships, like everything. I just like to know more, right?
mhm.
And obviously, you want to be careful. You don't want to be the guy just learning more and not actually taking action.
Of
So
course.
it's a thing where I was learning a lot, taking action, learning a lot, implementing, learning a lot, implementing, and then eventually I succeeded. in all aspects in particular. So that's what it kind of looked like.
True, true. I mean, did you ever think or did you ever imagine that you'd be investing so much into like the things that you've been learning along your journey?
Nah, like when I first invested into myself, I was 18. Like before that,
Hmm.
I thought like investing or buying something for $100 was a lot, you know? So like it's a different perspective change. But I remember one thing in particular, the first time I invested into myself, his name is called Garrett Campbell, but he was basically my first closing mentor. And he closed me and he was like, nothing changes when nothing changes. We already know what we're currently doing. Being in college, doing something you're unfulfilled with isn't working. So is it really a risk to try something else so you can get a different result? And it made me realize it myself. It stuck with me. I remember I slept on it the whole night. I was like, this isn't a risk. It only fails if I don't put 110% into it. If I'm committing 7K into this, using my student loans to pay this off, I'm gonna make it work. So like that was my mindset coming into it. Um, so once I came in with that mindset, um, yeah, things just kind of came to fruition. Even though it was slow, eventually things
Hmm.
came to fruition. So it was definitely very, very good.
100%. And what have like been the intangible ROIs that have come like from that? Like things that you can't necessarily like put a price tag on.
One thing that comes to my mind straight away was the first time I showed
Hmm.
my mom I made 20K in a month. This was
Hmm.
last year, May, and she just fell to her knees, right? So like
Hmm.
8 months prior, she was like, "What has my son done? He's just ruined the family name." And then to kind of show her a 20K in a month check and her to fall on her knees, it was like, wow, if I continue to help develop, because that's what entrepreneurship is. It's not even like, yes, you're doing business, but you are the business, right? The more you improve yourself as a person, the more you develop yourself, the better you get as a person, the more your business actually succeeds. Like you are a reflection of your business. So it's a thing where knowing I was able to do that, right, and create that level of impact for my mom. If I just continue to work on myself, it can affect other aspects, whether that's late family, other aspects of my family, my brother and my sisters. Um, so yeah, and also just inspiring other people, like the youth. That's why I'm going heavy on personal brand. Like I'm going to, even like you, I'm going to go every day as well,
Hmm.
because it's so beneficial, right? Back in the day, people had to fight in wars, right? You're telling me I
Hmm.
could be very, very rich just by editing a video, talking online, making it happen, which takes me less than 5 minutes. There's no excuse not to do it. So for me, it's like I'm gonna work on all the different things, the branding, the strategy. I'm gonna continue to develop it, my unique selling point, because I'm making this transition to business and figure all
Hmm.
of it out, so yeah.
True. What has been like the main thing that you've had to learn like transitioning from sales to like now being a business owner? Because I know like a lot of people speak about like sales is the foundation. Like as a business owners, you need to learn how to sell, and you've somewhat like got that down. Now it's just like focusing on the other aspects of becoming a business owner. But like, what has been the thing that you've had to basically learn pretty quick on that transition from sales into being a business owner?
That you can't it's not the same style of selling, right? Like sales is you get them to pay, you forget about them, right? Now I have to
Mhm.
fulfill these people, right? There's more headaches. I have to get more customers. I have to build my personal brand. I have to do more copywriting. I have to do emails. I have to show more social proof. I have to build more credibility. There's thousands of problems to solve. It's not
Mhm.
just in sales, how do I fix my pre-call? How do I close more deals? It's selfish a little. Now I'm focused on other people. How can I help them? How can I genuinely transition? How can I change a person's life to go from 3K to 20K in a month? How do I do that? It's a
Mhm.
different perspective change. Sales is more, hey, um, you're either looking to do this or not. And obviously you challenge them, you get them to think differently. But now I
Mhm.
have to think differently. I have to fulfill these people. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to that challenge.
Interesting. And is it something that you always like thought you'd be transitioning over to, like when you first started sales and then like you got to the role, did you always think like in the future that would be the next logical step, or is it just something that just came about as you like continue to go along?
I was living in the moment with sales, right? Like I've been doing it for
Hmm.
2.5 years. But something clicked recently with me that made me go like on to the next. I think that originated from being in Marbella, seeing what's possible, right? And like I'm not talking bad on the high ticket sales space. I love high ticket sales. It's done so much for me. It's helped me make 300K, right? But
Hmm.
it's about how do I make a million, 2 million? How do I make 10 million? How do I become a billionaire within 10 years? How do I do that? It's not by
Hmm.
continuously selling products. It's about building Gabriel Azar, the brand, networking with other people, being able to give them a particular thing, being able to develop me. That's it. So it's just working on that. And yeah, I'm ready for that step. And it's just super exciting, man. It really is.
Really, do you find more excitement like in actual business or in sales, like so far, of course?
Sales, there's periods in sales where I was
Hmm.
happy. There's periods where it is what it is. I'm just here to do a job and that's it. Collect a check, on to the next month.
Hmm.
So at the start, definitely, sales was very fun. Most fun I've had probably in my life. Like just collecting deals, helping people. It was very, very fun. But then towards the later years, kind of the past 3 months, it just feels I'm just doing a job. That's it.
Hmm.
On to the next, right? With business, it's now have a bunch more problems to solve in a good way, right? You only learn by having problems in a way. So it's about trying to understand the problems, understanding how to fix the problems and what direction do I need to take to take myself and my business to the next level.
100%, 100%. I love that. I love that. Now I wanna ask you, like, talk to me. Like, you've closed 3 million, right? How did like that whole process happen? Like you closing 3 million, like is it dollars or pounds?
Dollars, yeah.
Oh, $3 million worth of deals. Like as Gabriel, like how were you able to manage that or to achieve that?
I sacrificed a lot of time.
Hmm.
If you saw my schedule at some point, 11 a.m. No, 11, yeah, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., 12 p.m., 1 p.m., 2 p.m. I was
Hmm.
working, not 2 p.m., sorry, at 2 a.m. But yeah, I was working crazy hours. But I enjoyed it, so it just went by, you know. But
Hmm.
like the moment it felt stagnant, it felt I really don't want to do this anymore. Like I hopped on a call recently. It was like I don't want to take this call. Like I don't want to do
Hmm.
it. So I was like, okay, something needs to change. But the way it happened was I made my first 1 million cash collector within 7 months. Another
Hmm.
company, and this was all with one company. Another company, I made
Hmm.
another 1 million within like 8 months. And then basically with all the different offers I've been working on, 200K here, 300K here, 100K, 100K, just different ways I've been able to work it. But yeah, I've always been a workaholic where I'll find time to make it work.
Hmm.
I'd put in extra calls, I would dial. I was just always like that, trying to move every single needle to get a deal across. That's the vibe. It's that hustle type culture and mindset.
Of course. And do you remember your favorite call or your least favorite call, like between the two? Like, do you remember the best call that you've ever had, or
Mm.
like the one that you enjoyed the most, and the one that you've like least enjoyed? And like, what was the result of those both of those?
So they would have been recent actually. Like
Hmm.
as obviously I've developed the skills and I've learned more. It would have been actually like 1 month ago. It just
Hmm.
flowed correctly. Everything was hit. The right emotions were hit. The right conviction was hit. The right authority was hit, and I knew it was a closed deal. It was a 15K deal. Um,
Hmm.
that was like my best call. I remember I just felt great after a call. It's kind of like when you play a football game and you leave the pitch, you're
Hmm.
like, yeah, I performed correct. Like that was a good performance. The exact same
Hmm.
feeling after that call. The Worst call. Um, yeah, like I guess whenever I was trying to really objection handling people and learning reframes, I said it in the wrong way, in the wrong tone, and people can take offense to it. That's why tonality is key. If you can say stuff, right, but if you don't say it in the right way, it can come across like bad, or it can come across like you're essentially being a dick, you know? So that's where I learned tonality. It was a thing where, yeah, I would just try and reframe him, and yeah, it just didn't end well. Yeah.
How did
Yeah.
what exactly like happened? Like if you were to get down to the nitty-gritty in terms of like tonality and like conveying or like, saying what you want to say, like where like would you say like it was a mismatch?
Yeah. Obviously, he was talking about finances, and it pissed me off. I was like, okay, cool. Do you have 4,800 or do you have 15K to invest in yourself? They're like, yes, I do. Okay, so what's the problem here? And he was like, I just don't want to do it. I was like, just do it. Like, I was just very aggressive, right? Like, at the time, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
understand word tracks. I didn't understand reframes. I didn't understand different aspects as to what I need to say to move a deal
Mm-hmm.
forward. So, because I was just aggressively just trying to push him to do the thing, it pushed him away, right? The more you're attached to a sale, the more the other person's detached from the sale, right? It's a push and pull game. If you pull, they're gonna push and want it. If you're the one pushing, all right, you gotta do this, blah 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 blah. They're gonna want to do it less and less. It's like, why is this guy so needy? Does he not
Mm-hmm.
have other customers to fulfill? Like, well, why does he want me specifically? So you want to be like,
Sure.
yeah, you want to find the right balance.
Sure. And where do you think like most people are like getting started in sales get it wrong? Is it like the same that you're mentioning now, or is it something completely different?
Yeah, it would be tonality. So I think a lot of people, there's enough scripts out there, there's enough information out there to help you actually understand sales. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you say a certain sentence with lower tonality. Sometimes you say it with higher tonality to make it more impactful. So it's about recognizing that, watching videos, pulling all levers, and a different approach you need to take to break into it.
Of course. And what is like been some of the things that you've had to learn the hard way in terms of like the psychology of sales?
Um, More on understanding that humans, right? They have this thing called the devil and the angel, right? Where every
Mm-hmm.
decision that they make, there's a devil on their shoulders and there's an angel on their shoulders. So the devil always goes to the comforts, right? Always tries to teach them to stay in the same position because it never wants them to reach their full potential. And then the other side, we have the angel, which is inspiring you to become a different person so you can get a different result. So it's about showing people how to think from that perspective, that you're allowing the devil to continuously listen to you, or you're continuously listening to the devil. So that way you're going to stay in
Mm-hmm.
the same position, you never reach your full potential. But there's actually an angel out there who got you onto this call here today, right? Many people don't even book on a call because they're too scared. It shows that you're ready
Mm-hmm.
to take the step, but now it's about now finally taking that step. You see what I'm saying? So how much longer do you want to continue to listen to comfort opposed to uncomfortability? So it's like playing with these reframes. But yeah, definitely that it helps people understand the perspective that there's a devil and an angel with everything. The more you listen to him opposed to the angel, the less you're going to get the results and the things you're looking for in your career.
Interesting. Have you read Napoleon Hill's Dealing with the Devil or the Outwitting the Devil?
No, I haven't. I've actually been recommended.
Really? You
Yeah.
should definitely check it out because it speaks a lot to like what you were referring to now about comfortability, like people being so comfortable, like choosing that rather than choosing the uncomfortable path. And like I know you mentioned earlier, like you're never gonna move or progress as much if you continuously choose the comfortable path. And yeah, do you think most people like choose comfort like a lot in terms of like the ones that you interact with over sales, and it's more so just getting them to pick what's uncomfortable but also beneficial for them in the long run?
Yeah. Yeah. Like we're human beings, right? You're not bad for wanting to do the comfortable thing, right? But it's up to me
Hmm.
as a closer or as the leader or sales manager to ultimately highlight that it is a bad situation, right? Because they've,
Hmm.
by that stage, they would already talk to me that they're currently hating what they're currently doing. They have big goals and aspirations for themselves, and they're nowhere near it, right? So it's about getting them to realize these two things, and these things are misaligned, right? You can't continue to do what you're currently doing and actually get to your goals. You must try something else to get to your goals, right? So how much longer do we want to allow that current thing to be the reason why we can't progress in our career in particular?
Okay. Okay. And is it always something that's easy to convey over, or does it take a bit of time?
It does take a bit of time, in
Hmm.
particular, because sometimes it takes people a while to marinate it. That's why I have this thing called the discovery, right?
Hmm.
Discovery is just focusing on them, understanding them, right? Because you don't want to go into it straight away because they'll be like, what's this guy doing? You want to build the trust before you have the permission to ultimately do it. Don't ask for permission, but by that time you've naturally built enough trust to actually do the things and say the things that you need to say to get them across the line.
100%. No, I love that. Is that where like for you the personal brand comes in, like building that trust through content, and then ultimately, you don't ask for permission, but like you basically get that permission from them prior, if you get what I mean.
Exactly, exactly. It's
Hmm.
ultimately it's ultimately ensuring um, that the people feel heard.
Hmm.
People only buy once they feel heard, right? If they feel, hey, this guy's just trying to sell me, they're not going to buy, right? They can tell what you're doing.
Of course, of course. And what does feeling heard like? What does that look like?
It's not what it looks like; it's what it feels like. You
Hmm.
know, when people feel it, because they'll know when they feel it, there's enough urgency for them to make a change. So it's not a look like; it's a
Okay.
feel like, in particular.
So it feels like, hey, like I'm trying to help you make this change, and it's not so mostly just, hey, I just want your money, basically.
Yeah, it's that emotional. It's that's the most important thing. It's getting them emotional, right? Once
Hmm.
you're able to get someone emotional, obviously not crying, but to get them to actually speak out loud what their
Hmm.
problems are, you'll close the deal every single time because there's enough urgency behind it. It's not just, hey, I want to try this thing. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You'd be like, wow, he just got me to realize that I'm never going to reach my goals if I continue to do this. I need to do something else. Let me actually, because he did that and he pushed
Hmm.
me and showed me a different perspective. I trust him to be the person to get me to where I want to get to.
True. And have you ever had someone cry on a sales call simply because you sourced them up so much that they're like, hey, just take my card details and just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
has that ever happened?
A lot. Yeah, yeah, a lot. Yeah, very often. Yeah, yeah. That's how you know you're doing something right.
Oh my days, that's the first time I've ever heard that. Like someone crying simply because they just loved like what you had to present to them so much. June.
The beautiful thing about sales is you can have that impact on people. It's not just a conversation, you're genuinely changing lives, is the way you need to think about it.
True. I love that, like changing and impacting people's lives, for the better, of course. Right? Okay. So, like, what, like, for you, like, what would you say is something that you would, like, let's say if you were to look back at this video in 5, 10 years, what would you want to remember about this specific point in time where you're at, and the things that you're thinking right now that you think would be valuable and applicable as well, even into the future?
I will be in a position where I have a nice house, nice family, married, settled down, and there's not so much chaos.
Mhm.
In business, there's chaos, right? Obviously, you're starting something different, so you're trying to put an idea out there into the world. So there's so much, oh, I have so much problems. I want
Mhm.
things to be settled. I want to have things in place, systems, and not have to stress too much, Have my family, make sure they're covered, make sure my family my mom, my dad, everybody's covered. And it's because
Mm-hmm.
I took responsibility and I realized I'm going to be the man in the house to change this for everybody.
100%. I love that. I know we have like somewhat of a hard stop, so I think we're gonna do it over here. Yeah, do you have any like final things that you wanna share like with anyone watching this that would get some value off of this conversation that you'd want to?
Yes, sales is the perfect foundation to be an entrepreneur. Every single thing that you need, from being able to understand business, seeing what an A team actually looks like, from being around a business owner, seeing what they're doing. It's the best thing that you can do to set the foundation for yourself. But then after that, it's about how do you continue to be an entrepreneur? Because sales isn't the end goal in regards to
Hmm.
entrepreneurship. There's still other things you have to build in particular. But yeah, I love this conversation. It's always great to connect with like-minded entrepreneurs, um, people who aspire to be like, people who aspire to grow like and with. Because entrepreneurship can be a lonely game, so it's very good to connect with people, talk about your problems, talk about who you are, learn your story, their story, and yeah, just show it to the people. This can impact one person. That's all I need to do. That's all my job is to for today.
Of course. And where can people find you if they want to connect with you, with what you're building, and also like you personally?
They can just find me on Gabriel Azar underscore on Instagram, and you can follow my YouTube channel, just Gabriel Azar. It should be able to pop up. If not, try
Okay,
Gabriel Azar Sales. But yeah, that's where you guys can find me.
100%. I'll just pop them in the comments so that everyone can check you out as well.
Awesome. I appreciate it so much, man.
Cool. Cool.
You didn't have to take time.
Thank you so much for hopping on. I just want to say thank you for taking the time out of your day to hop on and jam a quick one. I know it was a short one, but hopefully into the future, I hope we can do another one a bit longer and a more detailed one as well. So just want to say thank you for blessing with your time and yeah,
100%, 100%. Yeah, let's go do it. Let's go crush the year.